Hi listeners! So last time around, reading chapters 34, 35, 36, I asked what did Mina show Michael that she'd been keeping on a top shelf. Your answer might have said something like she was keeping the owl pellet made up of skin, bone and fur, and which contained the skull of a tiny animal. I also asked, how does the author use show me, don't tell me to explain how Michael feels when talking to his dad on the phone? I suggested that although Dad has told him, Michael asks again and again how the baby is and what they're going to do. The author explains the pauses in the conversation during which the reader can infer Michael's feelings. Then he says Michael doesn't hear the rest of what Dad's I've written that wrong. Then he says Michael doesn't hear the rest of Dad's reassurance. Take that out. He only focuses on his sister's heart. Okay, and lastly, what does daub mean and can you use it in a sentence? Now if we go to the online dictionary right there, daub can be either a verb, which means to carelessly coat or smear a surface with a thick or sticky substance, or it can be a noun, so a patch or smear of a thick or sticky substance, or plaster, clay or another substance used for coating a surface, especially when mixed with straw and applied to laths or wattles to form a wall. Wattle and daub is the name. It's quite an old-fashioned way of giving a coating to the outside or the inside of a house wall, the wall of a house. Okie dokie. So, today's vipers. I questioned whether I should show you them because I don't know if they're spoilers by themselves, but let's have a look. An inference question: what do you infer from Michael telling Mina his heart has stopped? A prediction question: what do you think will happen next in the story? And can you order these events? Mina shouts Skellig's name. Mum says she'll watch the fledglings, and Mina asks if Michael's all right. I'm going to take the bookmark out. Where are we? Chapter 37. Okay, chapter 37. An endless night, in and out of dreams, in and out of sleep. Dad snoring and snuffling in the room next door. No moon in the sky, endless darkness. The clock at my bedside was surely stuck. All it showed were the dead hours. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Endless minutes between them. No hooting of owls, no calling from Skellig or Mina. Like the whole world was stuck. All of time was stuck. Then I must have slept properly at last, and I woke to daylight with stinging eyes and sunken heart. And then we fought, my dad and I, while we crunched burnt toast and swigged tepid tea. No, I yelled, I won't go to school. Why should I? Not today. You'll do... Oh, yeah... I apologise for the swear words in this little bit. You'll do as you're bloody told. You'll do what's best for your mum and the baby. You just want me out of the way so you don't have to think about me and don't have to worry about me and you can just think about the bloody baby. Don't say bloody. Dad's a bit of a hypocrite, doesn't he? He's just used the word himself. It is bloody. It's bloody, bloody, bloody. And it isn't fair. Dad kicked the leg of the table and the milk bottle toppled over on the table and a jar of jam crashed to the floor. See? He yelled. See the state you get me in? He raised his fist like he wanted to smash something. Anything. The table. Me. Go to bloody school, he yelled. Get out my bloody sight. Then he just reached across and grabbed me to him. I love you, he whispered. I love you. And we cried and cried. You could come with me, he said, but there'd be nothing you could do. We just have to wait and pray and believe that everything will be all right. Moments later, Mina came knocking at the door. She had Whisper in her arms. You've got to come and help me, she said. Dad nodded. I'll come for you this afternoon, he said, when the operation's over. Go with Mina. She took me to her garden. She gripped Whisper tight. On the rooftop, the blackbird started yelling its alarm call. Bad boy, she said to the cat. And she went to the open front door, threw him in, pushed it shut behind him. The fledglings are out, she said. Stay dead still and quiet. Watch out for cats. We sat on the front step and didn't move. Under the hedge, she said. Under the rose tree by the wall. I started to ask what I was looking for, but then I saw the first of them, little brown feathered ball, with its beak gaping in the darkness beneath the hedge. This is how they start their life outside the nest, she said. They can't fly, their parents still have to feed them, but they're nearly all alone. All they can do is walk and hide in the shadows and wait for their food. The parents came closer. The brown mother the brown mother to the lowest branch of the tree, the jet black father to the top of the hedge. Worms dangled from their beaks. They called softly to each other, and the fledglings, with little chicks, clicks and coughs. First day out, whispered Mina. Think Whispers had at least one of them already. The parents waited, wary of us. Then, at last, they dropped into the garden. A fledgling tottered out from beneath the rose bush, let its mother drop the worms into its beak, tottered back again. The father fed the one beneath the hedge. The parents flew away again. They'll be doing this all day, said Mina, flying and feeding all the way till dusk. And the same thing tomorrow, and tomorrow until the chicks can fly. We stayed watching. Cats'll get them, she said, or crows, or stupid dogs. Dad came out of the house. He came into Mina's garden. Mina pressed a finger to her lips and widened her eyes in warning. He tiptoed to us. The fledglings are out of the nest, she whispered. She showed him where to look. Yes, he whispered. Yes, yes. He crouched beside us, dead still. Aren't they lovely? He whispered. He cupped my cheek in his hand and we looked deep into each other's eyes. Then he had to go. You just keep believing, he said, and everything will be fine. He went to the car and drove from the street as quietly as he could. Mina and I watched and waited as the brown mother and jet black father flew in and out of the garden, feeding their young. Chapter 38. Mid-morning, Mina's mother brought cups of tea for us. She sat beside us on the step. She talked about the fledglings, the flowers that were bursting into bloom, the air that every day became warmer, the sun that every day was a little higher and a little warmer. She talked about the way spring made the world burst into life after months of apparent death. She told us about the goddess called Persephone, who was forced to spend half a year in the darkness deep underground. Winter happened when she was trapped inside the earth. The days shrank. They became cold and short and dark. Living things hid themselves away. Spring came when she was released and made her slow way up to the world again. The world became brighter and bolder in order to welcome her back. It began to be filled with warmth and light. The animals dared to wake. They dared to have their young. Plants dared to send out buds and shoots. Life dared to come back. An old myth, I said. Yes, she said, but maybe it's a myth that's nearly true. Look around you, Michael. Fledglings and blooms are bright sunshine. Maybe what we see around us is the whole world welcoming Persephone home. She rested her hand on my arm. They can do marvellous things, Michael. Maybe you'll soon be welcoming your own Persephone home. We thought of Persephone for a while in silence. I imagined her struggling her way towards us. She squeezed through black tunnels. She took wrong turnings, banged her head against the rocks. Sometimes she gave up in despair and she just lay weeping in the pitch darkness, but she struggled on. She waded through icy underground streams. She fought through bedrock and clay and iron ore and coal, through fossils and ancient creatures, the skeletons of dinosaurs, the buried remains of ancient cities. She burrowed past the tangled roots of great trees. She was torn and bleeding, but she kept telling herself to move onward and upward. She told herself that soon she'd see the light of the sun again and feel the warmth of the world again. Then Mina's mother broke through into my thoughts. I'll watch the birds, she said. Why don't you both go and wander for a while? And Mina took my hand and led me away. It was like walking in a dream. The houses tilted and swayed. The sun glared over the rooftops. Birds were ragged and black against the astonishing sky. The roadway glistened, a deep black pond. Invisible traffic roared and squealed. She held my arm. "Are you all right, Michael?" she kept asking. "Are you sure you're all right?" We made our way towards the danger door. She led me through the gate, through the long garden, through the door, into the dark and dusty interior. We went up in silence. She held my arm, like I was an old man or an invalid. On the final landing, she told me, "He'll be waiting for us, Michael. He'll be so pleased to see you again." She turned the handle. We went in. Sunlight poured through the arched window. We stood there staring. He wasn't there. Mina ran back down through the house. I heard her feet on the bare boards, doors swinging open. I heard her calling for him. "Skellig! Skellig! Skellig!" I heard her coming slowly back up to me. Her face was paler than ever. There were tears shining in her eyes. "He isn't here," she whispered. "He just isn't here at all." We went to the window and gazed into the empty sky above the city. I found myself falling forward. I gripped the window sill tight. I touched my heart. "Oh, Mina," I said. "What is it?" "My heart stopped. Feel my heart. There's nothing there." She caught her breath. She touched my chest. She called my name. And then there was just blackness. Okay. There's those vipers. Pause the video and see you next time.